Hey guys, and welcome to Stock Talk on September 27th. And of course, this is the S&P 500 that we're looking at, tracking general market movement. So today we have a pretty much flat day. Yes, the Nasdaq went higher. Yes, the S&P 500 went higher, but not significant enough to really change our analysis from yesterday. So part of today's story is just going to follow yesterday's story, but you guys can see how even in a relatively quiet, we did have some intraday fluctuations, sure, but in a relatively quiet open and close and a positive day, most of our tickers went higher, right? And you guys can see that most of our tickers went higher. Now, again, today is really not a telltale sign that tomorrow has to go up or it has to go down. Really, the narrative hasn't changed in terms of a support at 289.37. Resistance is still up there, and we can certainly continue making new highs. That's one possibility. Now, remember, I talked about yesterday in terms of a support in this level or a support at the at right here at around 287. That's where I would find the next support should we get to that area. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion only, if we get to that area, we are going to have a significant chunk of buyers come in at that price. So take it as you will. That's how the markets are going. An interesting comment on the YouTube video yesterday. What do we got here? So we have Airstoof talking about SPX. So here's SPX and your prediction for the next few days. That's interesting. All right, where's your prediction? Up to 29.13. Okay, very interesting. We hit 29.14 today, right? 29.13. So you're saying that it's going to go down to 28.85. Well, 28.85 is around down here. Right down here. Okay, so that would be playing to the scenario in which I talked about just now, right? In which the SPY hits around the 50-period moving average or the next support line. So interesting how that is panning out so far. So Airstoof, we'll see how that goes if we're going to have a leg down tomorrow. But you guys can imagine, like you are predicting right now, if it goes down the following days or the day after tomorrow, well, I guess tomorrow's Friday, but on Monday, we would see that update. That's just speculation. Once again, I don't really like to speculate, but it's a scenario that you guys can consider in the meantime because I thought it was interesting. There you go, because it played out today. Okay, so let's take a look at volatility or TVIX. So volatility was holding a basing pattern, and you guys can see it continues to hold this base at around support 25.55 or the low of that candle. But just note that, like I said, the market is bullish. It's really a question of when are people entering into the market upon a dip versus not shorting the market or necessarily going into volatility. That's not the grand scheme of things. The grand scheme of things is, the probability of success right now lies more towards going long in the market than short in the market. That's just how it is. And you guys can see volatility, right now, another flat candle, not much doing, right? If the S&P 500 does begin to sell off tomorrow, then we would expect possibly a push to the 20-period moving average around 28.58. But, take it as you will. We'll see how the action goes during the day. What do I mean by that? How impulsive is it on a minute-to-minute basis or an hourly basis or a 180-day basis, 4-hour candle basis, right? How impulsive is the sell-off if that occurs? Right now, no sign of a sell-off just yet. So, all good in the neighborhood so far. Okay, we're going to take a look at a couple of ETFs, but before we get to it, you guys know what to do. Please hit that like button or subscribe to the channel if you enjoy these videos. Completely up to you guys, but you guys hopefully enjoy these, like I always say. All right, thanks guys. So let's look at crude oil. And I know just from one of the commodities that I'm going to be talking about that the outlook has changed it's very interesting how things are moving because it's an unpredictable pattern. You guys might know which commodity I'm talking about, but for now, let's start with crude oil /CL. So crude oil futures, right? We talked about crude oil and its potential to push higher. Why? Because we've held the support at 70.39. This was a rather predictable pattern, and right now you guys can see that this was the previous high, so you guys can see that we're take it with a grain of salt that we've reached the high right now, 72.72. Can we come down and retest the support? We could, but it's not as likely in my opinion. We certainly can if we do have a major sell-off back down, but the major point I want to talk about is this gravitation to 74.31, which is the next resistance. That's what I'm looking for crude oil. And you guys can see once again, we were bullish crude oil, from this reversal area down here all the way back up here. Just view my previous videos. And then I talked about the ticker that you should be interested in would be UWT, or that follows crude oil, right? So once again, today it went up 2.85%. If you guys are a little cautious and you're like, oh man, we're nearing all-time highs, yeah, that's certainly one way. If you're cautious into going to crude oil position now, that's certainly valid, I think, in my opinion, to be cautious on your position. Okay, the interesting one, /NG. Now this one is one that is rather unpredictable, and now I'm not going to be necessarily talking about this, but look at this. What kind of candle is this? Number one, well, from the course you guys know what kind of candle that is, but this candle pretty much negates the previous candle, yesterday's candle. What an incredible move. Now I like to call these moves a surprise factor. Why? Because the momentum was pushed to the downside yesterday's candle because we broke below a resistance level, right? As we closed below it. But today we recovered everything and a bit more. What does that... So first of all, that surprise factor led UGAZ, which follows natural gas, because there was a surprise factor involved, in my opinion. It went up at one point actually over 10%, I believe. Over 10%. You guys can see how we went up. And then by the end of the day, we did sell off. That's the surprise factor because no one really expected this massive push higher. Now, we did sell off, but however, based off of just natural gas's candle that was formed today, right? What does that say? Well, now we have to take a more bullish stance. That's just how it is because the candles are telling us that, okay, yesterday's was a fluke, and therefore we're moving higher. That's just how it is. Sometimes that's why, it's not always 100% where we think it will go, that it's, the chart's going to follow. Most of the time it does. Here it didn't. But now we have to be bullish natural gas once again. What a confusing chart pattern this is right now. And, next resistance. You guys can see my next resistance area is at 3.167. So I want to show you guys UGAZ. This is one interesting chart. I don't know if you guys were watching natural gas. Maybe you were, maybe you weren't, but you guys can see how interesting this is. Below this resistance area following or correlating with natural gas, and then all of a sudden we pushed higher. So this is a rather what can I say, a resounding bullish tone that is being set by natural gas right now. All right, very interesting pattern. I love it. I love it. Okay, focus. /GC or gold futures. Okay, so here is the problem with gold. The likely move, in my opinion, in the past was a continuation move to the upside because we were consolidating at a resistance, right? However, now the energy is being pushed to the downside. Hence, I gave you guys the scenario a couple days ago, I believe. I talked about gold. And this was actually a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I talked about a bear flag pattern with gold. And then lately I've been talking about a more near-term bull flag. You're like, Kevin, which way is it? Is it bear flag or bull flag? Well, that's why, personally, I said I was waiting I was waiting for a definitive close or an impulsive close over 12.11, 12.12 level. I told you guys many times. Otherwise, it's not, in my opinion, it's just not worth taking, because the momentum is being pushed to the downside, and now gold is pretty much continuing to the downside. Now, there's a couple things I'm watching. Here is the support level. Wow, it's been a while since we talked about the support level, right? But here's the support at 1179. Are we going to hold this? Well, we will really have to see how we react at that level. Chances are we will have some sort of reaction at the level. However, it again really depends on how we close tomorrow. It's going to be a very interesting day tomorrow. We're likely to hit this level at the very least and see a reaction off of that level. But not looking good for gold. And I showed you guys, here's the next support. Should we start breaking? Should we start breaking that level? 1148.7, around that area would be our next support. Okay, that's pretty far away. Here is the ticker that follows gold, JNUG. Oh yeah, sorry, and my thoughts are going around, but a couple days ago I told you guys the scenario in which, ironically, when you think of gold and associate gold, what do you think of? You obviously think of money. Well, this person has gold, or they're digging up gold, right? They have money. But the majority of cases, most people lose money if they enter gold. That's just food for thought for you guys. But you can see how tricky gold can be. And you guys see how JNUG gapped lower today, right? Here's the support, $6.40. And look how, wow, this doesn't look good at all, because as we're moving lower, as you guys know, as we're moving lower, we're creating more resistance areas, right? And gold is going to have a tough time rebounding from such a major drop. If we do see that definitive sign, sure, we have the potential to move on higher, right? We have time. Like I said, there's a lot of time for gold to make up, but this is, what a chart pattern, right? Okay. So we're going to talk about a little bit about GUSH and DRIP. So GUSH and DRIP. GUSH follows oil and gas exploration. So you guys can imagine, as oil does push higher, we do expect GUSH to push higher as well. It's similar to UWT, but not completely the same. But here's GUSH, right? This is a what kind of pattern? I think that we marked these lines a long time ago. This is Family Fernandez. This is to your comment, right? What are my thoughts? And thank you for your insight to the market. Yeah, no problem. I'm happy to do this. So here's GUSH. Resistance at 40.54. We've hit it and we've went over it actually. Now, in the near term, what are we seeing? Well, we've seen a pretty much, this is actually really interesting, where double peak near the double bottom, and now we're pretty much at the resistance again. If crude oil continues to push higher in the future, doesn't have to be tomorrow, but in the future, as we expect, I expect GUSH to push higher. That's just how it is. Now, right now, where are we? Well, we're nearing the high area, right? So, which is why, correlate my analysis with this one with UWT. So it's pretty much the same. So GUSH, that's it. That's for you. So hopefully that helps. All right, let's take a look at a couple of your tickers. We'll do K9. Hey, K9, welcome back. So could you please do Salesforce CRM for long-term entry? CRM. So the first keyword I want to say is not your ticker choice, but long-term, right? Long-term entry. That's a good word to use because, in a ticker like this one that's been continuously moving higher, you can imagine long-term entries are probably the way to go in terms of making money. Now, I'm not advising you to do this, but that's just my opinion, right? So for this one, it looks good. Solid pattern. You guys can see it's been holding the 20-period moving average. Will it dip to 155, 156 for a better entry position? It might. It certainly doesn't have to. But this is a very good pattern. Again, the question is, do you have the patience? Okay. Abba Cadabra. Can you do Spot? So this is Spotify in the next episode. Thank you. So you're welcome. Spotify, Once again, looks pretty good, right? It looks pretty good. It's found a base support at around 173.18. This is a good pattern. Now, the one thing you have to be cautious of is we do have a resistance level, right? Pretty much at 187, around that general vicinity. So we're getting to that near-term resistance areas. So that's just something for you to keep in mind. But, you know, Spotify, overall, it looks good, right? This isn't too bad. Could it come down? It could. It could near the resistance, but that's one to be watching as we're moving forward. Good job. Armin. Yes. Okay. Yeah, yes, I guess. Thank you for your comment, Armin. All right, so we'll take a look at one more. NEPT. All right, so you know, okay, I'll take a look at this one, NEPT, and today, ooh, right? One thing I can just ask you guys for this one is, you know, you don't even have to do technical analysis. Of course, if you guys want to do really accurate technical analysis, you guys take a look at the course, right? This is the course that I teach, that I've made a complete package to really how to analyze charts on a minute, hourly, 5-minute chart, hourly chart, 180-day, 3-year chart, whatever chart you're looking at. I put it in a package for you guys so that you guys can do the same thing, right? It's really important to find these entry points because, like I said, you know, you might find a good pattern. It might be an uptrending pattern, but if your entry isn't correct, then chances are, you know, you might get your emotions affected. It might start dropping. You're like, what's going on? You know, we want to minimize that. It's not going to go all away, but you want to minimize that. And this pattern, you know, if I don't even do technical analysis, just showing you how many red candles have we had in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? When's the last time we had this streak of red candles? Just look down here, down here, down here, down here, right? What happened every single time? A continuation move to the downside. What do you think is going to happen now? Likely a continuation move to the downside. So, you know, barring there might be some, okay, so I call these, you know, pity bounces. Sometimes they're like, oh, you know, we're going to do a small bounce, or, you know, bounces that trap people if they think this is the reversal back to the upside. But, you know, this is a pretty definitive near-term downtrend. Where can we find some support? Sure, we can find some support around $3.27. Is that far away? Yeah, but you give it some time, you know, it might hit that area, or it might find a base somewhere else. But we want to find some sort of reversal signal, which we don't see. A reversal signal back to the upside. Okay. And I'll do one more for you, and I'll tackle Reza. So thank you for your comment. I'll take a look at IBM. And guys, you know, once again, if you guys want me to really analyze every single, I tackle all the tickers that the members, you know, call out. So, you know, if you guys are interested, take a look. Okay, enough of that. All right, so IBM, what are we seeing right now? Well, IBM, in the near term, you guys can see it's been going higher. Sure, and I want to actually take a look at the 3-year chart. So what can you guys see? Well, first off, you have to identify that this is a resistance area, right? This right here is a very resounding resistance area. So you can imagine the next resistance area is probably at 156. Are we there yet? No, there's $5 away, but we're getting close to that area, right? So you have to think, you know, is this worth your while? Right? In the long term, this almost looks like a what? A more bull flag pattern, but this is a large pattern that's taken a long time to play out. This is a 3-year pattern right now. So once again, what's your risk level? And, you know, are you willing to, you know, for that $5, are you willing to take that position? Okay. All right, guys. That's it for this video. Thank you for joining me on the last of the weekday videos. And of course, we will continue with a weekend stock talk that begins every Sunday. So in the meantime, hopefully you enjoy the trading day tomorrow, Friday, and then of course, enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys back during the weekend hours, and have a great trading day tomorrow.